Hey everybody, welcome to Red Cup Conversation at Black's Bar.
Black. I'm black, but it's Black's Bar.
Black's Bar.
I think. Get it right.
We're here in the beautiful Bixby Knolls area of Long Beach at the historic John Lee Hooker House. A lot of people don't know that Aaron's house was owned by John Lee Hooker, the blues man.
Yes.
One of his many houses in California.
Many houses.
Right. So yeah, it's the John Lee Hooker Bar at Black's Bar.
Yes.
A little background on why we're doing this.
We were it was during COVID and we were drinking. I know I say this in every beginning of our segment, but we got bored. They closed all the bars in Long Beach. Everything was closed. We got bored, so I built a bar. So they closed all the bars, and I brought one home. So me and John, we sat here and was drinking and eating and getting fat. And we were hey, talking about Long Beach politics or just things going on in Long Beach. He said, "Hey man, let's get some cameras and interview people at the bar." I said, "Sounds like a good idea, bar talk." So here we are, and so we invite everybody that's doing something in Long Beach, trying to change Long Beach, because we do love Long Beach. I'm gonna die here. Been here for about 30 years, over 30 years now. I think. Yeah, and so is John. So we're here just to see everybody who wants to do something and put their part into Long Beach. And today, we should introduce our guests.
Yeah, we have Josh Rodriguez. He's running for mayor. Just want to hear what your vision of Long Beach is, how you're going to do it different, and a little bit about yourself. So, if you want to tell us, just three guys talking at a bar.
Yeah. So, like you said, thank you for inviting me. So, my name is Josh Rodriguez. I'm a police officer, Marine Corps veteran. Honestly, I didn't want to jump into politics. I have 10 years on with my department in LA, and I just had to join in on the fight because at the time, back in December, the city was threatening to terminate 40% of the police department. That's 300 officers out of 800, and we've seen an increase in crime. We had 34 homicides last year, 32 the year before, and we've already doubled in homicides this year, in the same time from last year. And so I said that's kind of crazy because LA County is the only one implementing this kind of termination and philosophy behind mandates, especially when it was kind of dwindling down, cases and deaths were dwindling down for COVID. And on top of that, the way they treated the businesses in Long Beach, the way they treated Walmart and Costco, they let them remain open. People were less than 6 foot distance away from each other. And I thought that was just, the treatment was very obvious. Meanwhile, we let mom and pop shops, bars just die off, go bankrupt. And we had all this funding from the government, the federal government dumped all this money into Long Beach to save our businesses, to pay people's rent. And now you have the city council talking about doing parades with it when we still have people becoming bankrupt. And so I just thought someone has to stand up. We can't have this same ideology. It's just too pervasive. And so I said, you know what? I'm tired of complaining. Now it's time for me to stand up. So
that's great. Yeah. Definitely appreciate people jumping in. It's one of the questions we ask is, why would you already told us why would you do this, but why would you put yourself mentally through this and your family through this?
You already go through a lot. You've been through a lot, and I know you're still going through a lot because we share a common career. So why this? Why you put this on your plate as well? I mean, that's very commendable. But
again,
wow,
I'm tired of complaining.
I'm
tired of complaining. And so before this, just to give you some history, last year I was in Texas applying to departments over there. I just got back 4 or 5 months ago in Boise. Again, and it just, you can't leave. I can't just leave. Like, I have to fight at least before I take my family out of here, and I don't want to leave because my wife grew up here, my son was born here, I got one on the way that's going to be born here in Long Beach, but my in-laws are here, and they went to Cal State Long Beach. Their dreams were set here, my dreams were set here. I didn't know anything about Long Beach. I moved here in 2013, thinking that it was just smokestacks and
everybody knows. Everybody knows Snoop Dogg and all that stuff.
And so my first date with my wife, I had a blind date at the District Wine in downtown.
Familiar with it? Familiar with it?
And so the Blind Donkeys across the street.
I'm familiar with that too. Unfortunately,
I moved here in 2014, the beginning of 2014. Sorry, 13. The end of 2013, beginning of 2014, and we moved to Grand and Broadway. Amazing.
Yes.
Just absolutely amazing place to be. We didn't have AC, and you just get that nice breeze and
Very beautiful.
just that Long Beach vibe, right?
Yes.
Chill,
Yeah.
relax. And then we bought my first condo off of Elm and Broadway in downtown. So we could just stumble, here and back to the bars and Pine, and everything was alive. You had all those great bars over there. The Vault,
Yeah, the vault was good. That was
what's
a
the
good
one, the one, the double deck one. I can't remember.
Cohibas?
No, I think it's still there. You could drink it. They have a top bar. It's on Pine.
Yeah, I've been there. Bobo.
Bobo, that's the one. Yes, yes.
See, we're
That's a direct-
North Long Beach, the Bixby Knolls guys, and we go there. When we go to downtown, it's a treat. It's like
Yeah.
we're going to a different place.
Because we stay here because our Atlantic Street is thriving now. We
Yeah.
have a lot of good
Steelcraft.
Yeah,
got all of them, man. Got all of them.
Dutch's, EJ's, all those places.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I love Long Beach. I want to stay here, and again, I don't want to just flee.
I understand that. Well, you're a soldier too, so I know you don't want to flee.
So, one of the things we ask all the folks we talk to is about the homeless issue. It's a complex issue. I say this to everyone. In my mind, my minimal mind, there's three things. You got people that are drug addicted. You have people that are mentally ill, and you have people that are homeless because of circumstance. They just got kicked out, and they need assistance. That's how I look at it. So how as a mayor would you address those three kind of different pillars or of homelessness?
Well, so we have a combination. We even have combinations in there with drug and mentally ill. They do the drugs because they're hearing voices.
Yeah.
So to alleviate that, and so in my 10 years in law enforcement, I worked Venice Beach for 2 years, and we worked directly nonprofits. I just found them to be better in the city at providing services, getting people off the street, getting them into RVs, more community support behind them. And for me, just being in the military and being in law enforcement, government doesn't always do the right thing with money. They create new occupations and new titles, and they pay someone $120,000 plus just to sit there and say they've done something. So a good example I would give you is, I saw a homeless family. It was a lady and her 4-year-old and her 6-year-old. They were all in the streets in Venice. They had no tent, nothing. And so I called the city. I'm like, hey, what can you do for these people? Can you get them a hotel at least? They said, no. We can get them a McDonald's voucher. And I'm like, a family, a mom and 2 kids. You can't get them into a place. And so I called the nonprofit, which was out of the church. That same day, we drove them to a group home.
Mm-hmm.
We got them into housing. So I'd rather have nonprofits compete for that money. But for the overall issue with, we have some homeless that just live in their waste. They can't make decisions for themselves. Just like the mayoral candidates for LA, this is such a big project that we need to declare an emergency.
Mm-hmm.
That we shouldn't be burdening this task on our own.
Right.
Because this is such a lot of these people are not just from Long Beach or LA.
Right.
We want to help them, but it shouldn't just be our burden. We should be tapping on the federal government and the state government. They set aside $300 billion through tax measures to help the homeless. Where is that money?
Yeah, you hit something, and I talk about this all the time. It's like a game of whack-a-mole. When you go and you hit it, and then it pops up somewhere else. So if Long Beach addresses it, and let's say we do a great job of getting a lot of homeless people into homes and mental treatment and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The people may just go to Orange County and camp out, and then when they're going to whack them all, and then they're going to come back here, and we're going to whack them all. It's going to go to Lomita, it's going to go to Harbor City, and so there needs to be a comprehensive state down, the federal, state pushing down and helping us out on this. It's not in my mind, it's not a local thing to fund. It's a state federal thing.
That is correct, and I we are on board
Yeah.
on the same page. They should be helping us build shelters,
Right.
if not trying to disperse that amount. And the last time I did a homeless count, it was 1,400 people. 42% of those were veterans.
Yeah.
Like this is ridiculous. People are literally dying in our street. We watch them die in our street in the most horrific ways possible. People just step over these people like they're nothing. They're humans.
So the veteran thing's interesting because I told you my brother's a vet, and he's he uses the VA a lot, but he knows how to use the system. And so there's a lot of vets out there that may be homeless that don't know how to use the system. So there's something that we should think about doing of getting in there, getting in the streets, having them. Hey, this is how you go to the VA. This is how you apply. This is how you get, your 10%, disability, 20, 100%, stuff like that. They just don't know, or they're just They tried it a couple times, just gave up. So, something I think we can address as a city with the federal government.
Yeah, and we have task force that that come in here and there because there's so many lawsuits against the cities. We have advocates on both sides. Again, we want to treat them humanely, but as a society, is it okay that we lose business? That we lose, you have people defecating and urinating in front of businesses. Like that's just not a good standard.
We experienced that when we opened up a restaurant down here on that. It was closed, but we had that same issue with homeless, and they were using the bathroom on our beautiful patio, messing up the paint.
Yeah.
So it was very difficult, but it's like I said, that I know for a fact because I've worked downtown, and it was back in the '90s, and Skid Row was terrible. And then the money came, they pushed them aside, and now they're back.
Yes.
And so now they have the best. And so it's like a revolving door. It's a hard address.
Yeah.
For anybody.
It is. 100%. And I think, the empathy cup's getting a little empty. I am completely empathetic to the situation, but when you see what's going on, you don't see the services being used correctly, or they don't know what to do. It's just like, I don't know. We had a guy shooting up on our patio. You had a guy sleeping in the corner over there.
I asked him, was he paying rent? Because he was sleeping on my grass. He'll help you out with something. He had a little dog. He had a little dog with him.
Clean the windows.
He had
a little dog.
He had a little dog, man. I said, okay, let the dog rest. You and the dog can give you 20 minutes and you can go.
And again, the state used the pandemic to just mass release a bunch of people. And no housing. They didn't provide housing. Some of them got hotels, but a lot of them ended up on the streets. In fact, they estimate that the numbers have just doubled in the homeless population here in Long Beach.
Yeah.
It's like 3,000 to 4,000 people, and those are people in the bushes too.
Yeah.
This is
the size of the freeways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one should be living like that.
Right.
Unless they like camping a lot.
Well, nobody wants to urban camp. It's kind of
it's not that beautiful.
But it's a sad thing. It's a complex thing, and my hat's off to whoever can solve it.
And you didn't run for city council. You going for the gusto,
I
man.
couldn't. They redistricted me, and they pushed me out to even dip my toe in there. I said, you know what? It's all or nothing now.
Oh, I said you went all in. He's like, I'm going to be mayor.
Because I don't want. It's not even a power trip, and again, I don't want to be egotistical. I want the government to do its job.
Yeah.
And again, all I've ever known is to be on my feet and use my hands. And so that's what we need, is someone that represents that is used to walking around and being accountable for their positions. And I don't find any of the people that are running to be that.
So next thing, we have a little list here, and we talked about crime a little bit, and there's a lot of nuisance crime in Long Beach. I don't know what violent crimes in Long Beach are maybe down. I don't know. Murders up. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think when it comes to community and stuff, you see a lot of the nuisance. People stealing catalytic converters. Stealing stuff out of cars, jiggling doors and stuff like that. And so how would you address that, or how would you work with the chief of police to kind of help the community?
We don't touch people's cars. That should be a simple rule that everyone should follow. But
I don't do it.
Don't touch my car. And so I think the sheriff's department has kind of led the way on this. I think that one of the things that we can do is start engraving the catalytic converters. Does it stop them from stealing it? Probably no. Maybe help in reinforcing it, or telling them where to go to get it reinforced. But again, there's a reason why they're stealing this stuff, because they're not being held accountable. And even if they get arrested with these items, with these catalytic converters, they just get released because it's a petty crime.
Yeah.
Who did it really hurt? Oh, the insurance will pay for it.
Yeah.
But not everyone has insurance. A lot of people have just liability. They forget about the people that here in North Long Beach that it actually affects. They steal their car. Oh, their car was only $500. That's all they had to buy a car. That's literally their livelihood.
So we're gonna do a Bixby pause here.
Is that Southwest?
So is that Southwest? Maybe Southwest. We're going to someplace fun. So if you watch our streams or whatever,
city are built.
Yeah,
I-
no,
hey,
you live coming up, huh? No,
Uh-huh.
yeah, you go up.
Well, actually, no,
you come
come
down.
in.
Yeah, you
Well,
got.
you know,
We're taking off.
When I bought my house, I lived by an airport. Airport's been here since what, in the 20s or something like that. And so I was like, oh, okay. It's got a lot better. I'm just gonna riff here. So, when I first moved here, the planes were old and very loud, and as technology kind of caught up, they're a little bit quieter,
Yeah.
and so it's not as bad.
Are you sure about that? Maybe your ears have been bleeding since.
You know, I am a little bit older than you, so yeah,
Hearing might be going
I
down.
don't have that range of hearing as some people. So
We'll have to do a test after that.
yeah, there's an app for that.
We'll see.
How about this? Let me see. Your main focus. You already told us what your main focus. Well, you tell us again. I don't remember.
You know, I'm pretty much. Well, again, the reason I jumped in is because of the mandates
Yes.
and the closures
That's right.
on the businesses. Like, this is not the place of government, and I think that LB Health, the department, should have used a softer approach and said, "Listen, these are the recommendations we have for you. All right, do the 6 foot distancing. Try to do takeout only. You know, take these measures." Please. And now, if people start getting sick, or someone says that I got sick there, then maybe government needs to intervene and do a closure, quarantine, and do a deep clean of that business. But again, what happened was everyone got pushed into their house, locked down, hide in your house until it's safe. But everyone comes back out. Everyone got sick. Everyone got sick. It didn't even matter. You know, we've lost 970,000 people in this pandemic, and again, we're making policy on. So a lot of police officers, including myself, were exposed 50 plus times or more. And I got Delta and I got Omicron. And again, they're just pushing this vaccine like it's a cure-all, be-all. But there's no liability. There's no liability to the manufacturer. There's no liability to the government or the employers that are making you do this. And since when do we protect big pharma or government from their liabilities? Like, at least incentivize these people and say, well, if you do get sick, and the off chance you do get sick, we'll pay the medical bill, or hopefully it doesn't happen. But I just think it was a poor position to have. And so February 20th, the New York Times just released an article, and it said the CDC withheld data from the people on how many deaths, what the breakdown of deaths. And so why? Because they didn't want people to misconstrue that the vaccine was either ineffective. So why would they do that?
You have a little different perspective, and it's a great position. You have a stance.
Yes, a very big one.
My wife's a nurse,
Okay.
the director over here, and so she's seen COVID at its worst, where the hospitals were overflowing, where there were people. You're either going to critical care, or you're going to the morgue, and they're lined up in the hallways. And I got tired of her coming home and saying, "Hey, so and so died, healthy young guy died, ABC every night for 2 years or like a year and a half or stuff like that." And so my barometer of my health and how I was going to interact was how many cases they had in the hospital. And so if they had 100 cases, right? Then it was probably bad. Pretty good idea not to go out. 2 cases, it's pretty.
We had almost 500 cases.
They had 500. At the peak of it, there were 500. It went, and I always give this factoid. It was 2 years ago. It was in November, right after Thanksgiving. There were four at the hospital. By the middle of December, it was 480, like 500, and it just spiked. So there is
December last year, right?
Last year, yeah.
When vaccines were available.
No, it was right before vaccines weren't available. And I know time gets weird with this stuff, but it's a couple years ago. So it was right before the December before the vaccines got released. The vaccines got released in February.
20.
On the election year, 2020. So November 2020 is when the first vaccines started rolling out, and they weren't necessarily available to everyone. They were available to, I think, elderly and hospital staff.
Yeah, and
first.
so I think that's about it, right?
Yeah, 2020.
Yeah. I'm not here to dissuade anyone from getting a vaccine. I'm saying you're going to fire 40% of your department, 20% of the fire department, and all the city employees that but we're not even allowing them to go and test to see if they have the antibodies for it,
Yeah.
to see if they even have natural immunity. That's not even a factor.
Yeah.
Instead, you just threaten all these people. And so what happened in the last 2 years? We've lost 200 officers, not to dying, to leaving, retiring, and it's more than just COVID. It was the media saying that police are racist and on this whole narrative that I just didn't think it was, especially in a diverse department of Long Beach and LA. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
The demographics are completely they're the same. Like, hey, this is how 42% Latino, and it's like 50% Latino in the LBPD. Like, but how do you just disparage a whole occupation of racism? Are there mistakes made? For sure, and those people need to be held accountable.
Yeah. And what did you say? What did you say before about
The only thing bad about law enforcement is they hire from the human race.
So robots,
Yes, right. Robots.
drones. That's okay. No, that's not real.
Guys, it's just we go to make mistakes.
Yes.
Humans.
Yes.
We are humans.
Yeah, and we see that, when I first got out of the Marine Corps and joined my department, I was high strung. I was like a robot. Like everywhere I went, like this is the way it is. This is the law. But as time progressed, I learned just relax, take it slower, because you'll end up getting in less trouble and making less mistakes. Just relax.
Yes.
And you have a new college student that's never dealt with any type of conflict. They come from a well-off family, and the first time someone curses at them and flips them off, they're like, take their gun out. They're like, whoa, chill out.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, but again, it's a human job.
Yeah.
And it's a hard human job, and people just don't understand it until they do it. And my recommendation to a lot of people: just go try, volunteer and do the training. Like they do, not simulations, but like the FOSS training, which is force. I'm losing it here. It's a simulation.
Mm.
It's just a simulation. It could be as simple as someone holding a rubber gun and pretending to be a cop, and someone acting a fool in front of them. And a lot of the times, people will use that type of force, lethal force, instead of using their words, because they're not used to that type of altercation. And then when you're carrying all this equipment, I'm not making an excuse for the people that have outright made stupid mistakes. Like a good example would be the guy in Arizona that shot the guy in the wheelchair 9 times.
Yes.
Like, really?
Yeah.
This is, no. You should have never been a cop.
Right.
No.
I don't believe the majority of people are anti-cop. I believe that in my heart. I think everybody's in the middle.
I am. I'm just kidding.
You're anti-cop?
No, I'm kidding. No one was getting pulled over.
No, but most people are in the middle, and then you got people on the very, very right, that are extra pro-cop or whatever, and you got people on the very left who they want to defund and stuff like that. But everybody, I believe, we're all in the middle, and so it's the extremes on both sides that kind of get the narrative in the press.
Yeah.
What is it? Defund the police or
It's
bad bite.
Well, we look at the pandemic and also the riots that occurred and the protests that occurred. Yeah, I'm all in favor of protests, but you start throwing bricks and soda cans at cops. That's it. You need to disperse and come back. And relax. You start breaking into businesses. It's done. We're done here. And what did our mayor do? He let it happen. Let them break into all these businesses, destroy a lot of businesses in the city.
We had a security guy in our business when that was happening.
Yeah, but not a lot of people are fortunate enough to have that. And even where I worked, and again, people were out with their rifles because they were that concerned that the city wouldn't defend their properties, that they would just let it happen.
Yeah.
That's a whole job for the police.
Don't do bad things.
No, defend the people and the property in the city.
It's an easier question. Well, not easy, a lighter question.
Okay. Extreme,
Since you're going, since you're running for mayor, the parking situation downtown.
So I racked my brain on this, and I thought, well, this is not a better situation. Anyways, I racked my brain on this, and I thought, living in downtown, I observed a lot of parking lots that were just empty. They're city owned. And I'm like, can we just allocate spaces for people there to kind of just filter the congestion, and have them rent it out, and have maybe like a bike storage for them, so they can ride their bike home
Right.
from there. It could be as simple as like a $2 a month, or I don't know.
Yeah.
They're not being used unless we have like an event like the Grand Prix and say, hey, we're going to give you notice when these big events happen. We do need this parking back, so you got to figure it out that day. But instead, what do? We impound their cars, and they're like, I just woke up and I forgot. I totally forgot. But we could set up little signs that say, hey, event's coming up. You need to have your car removed from the space.
Right.
So again, that's something we can use now.
Yeah, it's doable now.
Yeah.
We had a friend that
Outside of the box thinking.
we had a friend that lived down there, and he was telling us that he couldn't find a place to park, and he had to park so far away from his place. He had to Uber from his car to his house downtown. Which
Again, that might still be the case, even if he rented a parking space from the city, right? Because again, you have a condo which has no parking because it's overdeveloped, and the street is covered with cars. And actually, one of the positions I'm against in terms of policy is SB 9, because SB 9 is the state mandating all this extra housing. You can convert single-family houses into apartment complexes, essentially, and it doesn't account for parking issues. And we're just going to continue with the congestion, right? So we need to join the fight with all the other cities like Torrance and Rancho Palos Verdes and say this is too much power for the state to have over a municipal government,
Right.
and the municipal government should have control over local issues, because I think the city was trying to approach it in a better way. They would say, hey, developer comes in, we need to build an apartment complex. Well, you need to build parking with it. You got to build parking with it, because if you don't, you can't build here.
Right.
And I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. We have to have a solution, because when I lived in my condo, we had tandem parking, and yes, the pain, the ass to back out and back in and switch cars. But you know what? We had parking, and it was built. It was built in the early 2000s, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
So that's one of my solutions.
It's a valid one. Let's see. Let's get to some fun questions. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do that.
So before we do that,
Okay.
why don't you talk about your issues and why you should be mayor? You can look at camera B and just make your pitch. This is the time.
Okay. Again, I'm honestly running as a regular person. Never been in politics before, and a lot of people say that's a negative. I think it's a positive. We want someone that's completely transparent, and I can guarantee, in terms of transparency, I'm working alongside some of the other candidates that want transparent government. I want reports from every department. That includes the police department quarterly, and so we know where their spending's going, their losses, and their revenues coming from, and post it on the public's website. We all deserve to know where the money is being spent, because look, we're at $36 million deficit. We're about to be at $66 million because of Measure M. So I recommend looking at the people you vote for and getting honest people into office. And I can tell you that you'll see my paycheck stubs on that website. All my investments, I will never meet privately with any investor. Every single meeting that the city has needs to be in the public square. There should be no more Zoom meetings and calls. Someone from the government should be there so you can speak to them after any meeting. So that's predominantly when we need to get away from the corruption. I can promise you that we need to get more police on board, and one of the ideas that I bring forward is to use the city workers that we have now. If they don't already have radios, we should recommend giving them radios so they can report violent crimes, because we have people on 911 spending about 5 to 10 minutes on hold, and that's just unacceptable. People need to be safe in the city, and that's how we drive business back into the city. On top of the fact that the city should not be shutting down businesses as a blanket measure for pandemics. And so that's the candidate that I am, and I'm here to work for you.
All right, Josh. Like I was threatening earlier, the 3 fun questions.
Wait, he knows both of these.
No, he doesn't know these 3.
No, he knows this one. He saw both of those. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. He's got a.
Let's ask him.
Okay.
Star Trek versus Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Thank you very much. You see how fast he?
I just didn't grow up on Star Trek.
Yes,
I know. It's a generational thing, I don't know.
The new movies kind of make me feel.
We're gonna
Yeah.
have
The movies
to.
are better
We're
than
gonna have to
the
have a movie night with people that are Star Wars, and kind of we can talk and dissect Star Trek.
Whatever gets your vote. I'm just kidding. That's not me.
There's the other one.
Vanilla ice or iced tea.
Again, Vanilla Ice. I've heard one song and that's it. Ice Tea, and I'm a rock and metal guy. And
Okay.
just
Okay.
always-
Let's do this next one. Your favorite '80s band?
Boingo Boingo.
Oh,
Ska
okay.
band.
Yeah.
Look at it.
Okay.
He knows.
Okay.
Okay.
Your favorite metal band?
This is a hard one. I would say Avenged Sevenfold.
Wow.
That's going deep. Yeah.
That's good.
I thought you were going to say like Mastodon or something like
You
that.
know what? Megadeth is.
Megadeth? Yeah, Mastodon. Those are old guys too. Mastodon, all that stuff. And
Not my wheelhouse.
I understand. I totally understand.
Right.
Well, I listened to Eminem growing up.
There
That counts for
you go.
anything.
That counts for me.
You know.
I give you that one.
and our final question, Mr. Blackburn.
What's in the red cup?
It's water.
Exactly.
It's always water.
Nutritious water. Refreshing.
All right, everyone. Well, thanks for joining us. Thanks, Josh, for coming by. That was short notice.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man.
We really do appreciate it.
And not too many people get to come to the Black's Bar, man. You're a special guy.
Yeah.
Hope
yeah.
so.
Yeah.
You know, if you have comments out there, post them.
Burn them at the stake.
Good, yeah.
No.
Good, bad, or indifferent. Just tell us.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone, and get out there, vote, and be kind to one another.
All right.
Thanks.